What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of my hip hop review. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Hope everybody had a safe Thanksgiving and things like that. The album I'm about to review tonight is Mike Geronimo's debut album, The Natural, released in 1995. I was originally going to make this a live review, but I kind of have like a little limited time and shit like that, so I potentially will do a live review on Vendetta in case anybody wants to join. Hit me up. Um, so yeah, forgive me and shit like that. I just been kind of busy with like a lot of shit lately. So yeah. Okay, so Mike Geronimo. Yeah, Mike Geronimo. You guys should know. In case you guys don't know, he is an MC from. I think he is from Queens. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's from Queens and shit like that. Um, he hooked up with Irv Gotti. Yes, the same Irv Gotti that was the CEO of Murder Inc. Records, which was home to Ja Rule, whom at the time was part of the Cash Money Clique and shit like that. Um, they met at a talent show and he liked what he heard, and he opened up the doors to him and he recorded his first single, "Shit's Real," which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And so he got in a deal with Blunt Records under TVT Records. Yes, TVT Records. It was home to like 9 Inch Nails and shit like that. Excuse me. And so then this album came out. Alright, singles albums known for are Shit's Real, like I said, Master IC, The Natural, and Wherever You Are. Producers include Mark Sparks, the Beat Miners, yes, the same Beat Miners that was Bootcamp Click's in-house producers, Buck Wild, dope producer, Shot Skills, who was the main producer from Onyx and shit like that. In my opinion, Shot Skills originated Onyx's sound, in my opinion. And Irv Gotti, who back in the day was known as DJ Irv. And like I mentioned before, Irv Gotti's production around this time was so dark and grimy, very different from what he's known for and shit. Yeah, and the track that's playing in the background, if you can hear it, is Life Check and shit like that. That was the Beat Minus production. Yeah, and the guest appearances include Royal Flesh, who was a very slept on MC from Flesh and Queens and shit like that. I need to get my hands on the Ghetto Millionaire album back in '97, but that shit's out of print. It doesn't cost too much though, but I just been lazy in hell. Plus, I had to save money and shit like that. But he makes quite a few appearances on this album. Murder Inc., which basically was, like I mentioned, Jay-Z, Ja Rule, and DMX. More on that song in a minute. OC, around that time, he just dropped Word Life, still affiliated with, Organized Confusion and shit. Lost Boys, who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this was the first appearance on Wax, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, I could be wrong on that. I'll look that up in a minute, but yeah. Alright, 13 songs. You guys know what I'm about to do. So track number 1, The Natural. Love that song. That song right there is a nice way to begin the album and shit. Oh, yeah, this is the album cover and shit. Pretty basic, just him in front of his neighborhood and shit. Yeah. But yeah, that song has Royal Flush in it. Love the dark, grimy beat and shit. Track number 2, Life Check. That song was okay. I felt like the beat fit better in the Bootcamp Click album like Black Moon or even Smith & Wesson, but that song was okay. Track number 3, Wherever You Are. That's another banger right there. This is not the video version, which everyone knows with the Midnight Star sample. This is the This one has like a lot more grimier, kind of like a late night driving beat, which I love both versions though, but I prefer the album version. It's kind of like, I would say it's like a love song, like kind of six, so like a love song, but not like a mushy gushy love song, you know. Track number 4, Master IC. That again features Royal Flush and Buck Wild produced that. That song right there is a classic underground hit right there. Like, that's like one of his best songs in my opinion, and probably my second favorite song on the album. Just so dark. I love his cadence and shit like that. Um, Track number 5, Man of My Own, Frequent Shot Skills. Um, Again, that features Royal Flush. That song is like a song about retaliating on an enemy and shit. That song was okay. Wasn't really one of my favorites and shit. Track number 6, Time to Build, featuring Murder Inc. This is probably my favorite song off this album. I might be a little biased, but this song right here is just, once you hear it, you just gotta experience it for yourselves and shit. Like I said, Murder Inc. consists of Jay-Z, Ja Rule, and DMX. You guys might be surprised by what I'm about to say, but I felt like Ja Rule had the best verse. In my opinion, like, he just came straight up nasty on this shit. Like, and this was like, when he was not like doing that whole love shit. Like, this is when he was on that hardcore shit back in that time and shit. I did feel like Mike Geronimo had the weakest verse, kind of forgettable in my opinion, which I'm gonna talk more about that once I review this album. I mean, in my synopsis of this album and shit, but let me get to Ja Rule's verse. He said some shit like, niggas increase the pain when they shout my name, horrified by the thought of hot slugs and graves, cause Ja is a sinister character loading that 4-4 caliber, infrared aimed at your jugular. Who the fuck are you? Nobody cares. You just be another nigga that needs repairs. Talking to all them niggas shitting and all them faggots that be steady bitching. I'm like, damn, child, what the fuck? Also, according to Irv Gotti, Jay actually threw his verse had some shots aimed at DMX, and it was also on DMX's autobiography as well. Reason that happened was because while they were recording the song, he originally wanted to close the song because, you know, whenever an MC closes a song, that means they had the best, but you have to end it off with a bang and shit like that. So he was coming late to the studio session, and DMX, he laid down the verse, and everyone was fucked with the verse, and they gave him the closing honor and shit like that. Jay kind of felt, you know, disrespected by that. He's like, yo, what the fuck, like, really? And shit like that. And he has some lines like, fuck what you niggas kicking on the mic. Chicken like you don't know what an ass whooping feels like. Like, yeah. And in my opinion, like, you know, you guys should know that Jay and DMX kind of had like a little subliminal beef with one another and shit like that. Look that up and shit like that, because there's like a lot of personal shit happening with that. But Time to Build is definitely one of the best songs off this album and shit like that. One of the best underrated posse, because I don't hear nobody talk about. Track number 7, Shit's Real. That was the first single off the album. Love that song. That has a very iconic sample from an album I recently reviewed and shit like that. Don't know, go look through my reviews, you'll know what I'm talking about. Next song, 3 Stories High. Again, features Royal Flush. That has a Buck Wild. It's a Buck Wild production. It's a dark and grimy song. I love that song and shit like that. One thing I've noticed about that song, re-listening to it, it has like you can technically hear like a drip sound. I think that's supposed to like resemble like a faucet dripping and shit like that. that was a very nice touch and shit. It definitely added on to the song. Um, Track number 9, Shireen. That song is about like this girl again. I think setting him up. To be honest, I don't like this song, and I feel like it had to do with the beat. I felt like the beat was a bit too boring in my opinion, but I personally do not really like this song. Track number 10, Men versus Many, featuring OC and Royal Flush. Oh my god, this is this is a nice improvement from the Beat Miners and shit. Like this shit right here. Oh, OC definitely killed it with this shit. OC. Um, I need to definitely do reviews on this. I need to get my hands on Word Life. But yeah, he is definitely one of my favorite MCs. Like just his deliveries, his voice, his style. Like, but he can like he's like one of those MCs that he can really jump on almost any beat and it can still sound dope. Like he can elevate a beat like Slick Rick and shit. Anyway, track number 11, Train of Thought. That song was okay as well. Track number 12, Things Change. It's a very interesting song because if you listen to the beat, it has a very early Bad Boys, Easy Mo Beat feel to it and shit like that. I've peeped that shit. And the last song, Master IC Remix. That song features Lost Boys and Royal Flush. Um, that song is a dope song and shit like that. I still prefer the original, but anything with the Lost Boys is a very recommended touch for me. You know what I'm saying? Alright. Now, I know you guys are probably wondering why I'm a bit too hard on this album. I like this album, but there's a couple of things I do have to nitpick about it, as you guys would say, nitpick or whatever. To be honest, when it comes to the production, I felt like some of the beats, the production was good, but some of the beats I felt like did not really fit him. Like Life Check, possibly Things Change, like shit like that. I also felt like, Mike Geronimo, he's not like the most lyrical MC. I mean, he's not like the most lyrical MC, but he still can deliver a song. But there'll be some songs where I kind of feel like his delivery is kind of and I feel like the guest appearances just make up for it. I also do feel like, what else? What else about this? What else? Oh, yo, that's another thing too. I felt like, some songs with the skits kind of run on a bit too long in the beginning of certain songs and shit. Like, it's cool, but it definitely didn't really add really that much to the song. But that's just the negatives. Now, the positives is I love how the beats on this album and shit, like, certain beats just has that mid-90s East Coast feel to which I love. And it definitely, has like a very relatable with the concepts and shit. But I would not call this album a classic album. It's a near classic. And I might cause some controversy. I would prefer this album than Group Home's Living Proof. I might provide some more further controversy. I don't consider Group Home Living Proof a classic album. And I'm going to talk more about that when the time is right, when I probably review the Gang Starr discography next year, possibly January or February. But back to this album, I still would recommend it if you love mid-90s hip-hop and shit, and if the production is still good, yeah. Yeah, this album is out of print, but you can still find it like pretty reasonable online. 2 years later, he dropped Vendetta. That album, I'm just gonna. I don't know when exactly I would review that album, but I'm just gonna like provide a few of my thoughts. When I first heard the album, I did not like it. Felt like it was a Bad Boy cash in, and Puffy executive produced it. and shit. And I believe he's like, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but the first rapper to go through that whole bad boy phase and shit. But when I re-listened to that album like last year, the year before, I peeped some joints. It was pretty good and shit. But I'm doing a live review on the album one day. But yeah, actually, I think all of his albums are out of print, but you can still find them reasonable online. So, The Natural, 1995 and shit. And that's all the time I have. Stay tuned for more. Peace.